Good afternoon. This is Judge Alyssa Perez presiding over the 210th District Court criminal docket for July 26, 2022. All matters being heard today are being heard in accordance with all emergency orders and directives regarding COVID-19. In addition to that, we are streaming all matters live via YouTube for public viewing. Mr. Marufo, would you call our next case, please?
Judge, middle of page 6. Annex, may we have a Slinger and Andrea?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
In cause number 2020-0D04000, State of Texas versus Andrea Slinger. Announcement of council, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Luis Cistas for Ms. Schleiger. We're ready.
And Ms. Slager is appearing from the jail annex. We're scheduled for a pre-revocation hearing. I have reviewed the probation summary. Looks like we had a couple of attempts at treatment. Those were not successful because Ms. Slager, it appears, left those or did not participate in those treatment programs. I'll get kind of straight to the point, Mr. Islas. Is she, I don't know if she's local or not, but I think probation is recommending a screening for BHRTC. I know my notes reflect, we either do a time rec or send her to BHRTC. Carla, if I'm wrong on that and you all have a different recommendation, let me know.
To answer one question, Your Honor, she's originally from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think she necessarily wants to be revoked. What type of alternative is there?
BHRTC.
Could we set it for a hearing maybe in a week so I can try and discuss it with her?
Sure. I'll go ahead and put us at 2 weeks out. So we'll get another pre-revo in 2 weeks. What I will let you know is that if you have some kind of, if she's wanting to do either, honestly, let us know as soon as you do. And if we need to get her screened, we can get with probation to see if they can screen her for BHRTC, kind of expedite things. And if we're looking at a plea, then we can get the paperwork going, okay?
Could we ask her right now what she's feeling?
Ms. Sliker, so what I am suggesting to your attorney is either we adjudicate you to some period of time or we make an attempt at treatment that is much more restrictive. It's BHRTC, it's a residential treatment. I think, is it 9 months, Carla, generally, or is it 6 months? I'm getting my numbers confused. Monday?
6 months.
6 months.
I would rather go to BHRTC. I don't want to be in jail anymore.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you flesh that out with her, Mr. Islas. Like I said, I'm gonna set you for 2 weeks out. I'm sure there's probably a more detailed conversation that needs to happen there. But if she's ultimately wanting to go to BHRTC, please let us know so we can get her screened. Well, we can just go ahead and start the screening, Carla. And that way we know if it is an option.
Are you leaning towards the BHRTC, Ms. Sliger?
Yes, I mean, I would rather go to Aliviani, but if I have to go to BHRTC, then yes, I don't want to be in jail anymore.
Okay.
Okay, I need to talk to her.
Let's start this. We'll start the screening process in any event, Mr. Islas, and we'll come back in 2 weeks, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Monday.
Just so that Mr. Islas and Ms. Sleeper can be aware, her probation case for 2 years are up to expire this upcoming September. So she would need for her probation to be extended at least a good maybe 12 months.
Okay. So yeah, that would be the minimum, I guess. It would have to include a 12-month extension of your probation if we do the treatment, okay?
Okay.
All righty. So I'll let you have time to talk with your attorney. If we get her screened, if that's where we're going, then we can do that without having to come back, but we'll still have our 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Sliger. Who's next?
Back in the middle of page 4, Judge. Annex, may we have Castañon?
Mr. Serrano, does your client need an interpreter?
No, he does not, Judge.
Go ahead.
In cause number 2021-0D00628, State of Texas versus Arturo Castañon. Announcement of council, please.
If that was you, Ms. Rago, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I was on mute. Samantha Raga, on behalf of the state, seats ready, Your Honor.
Because, Your Honor, we have the defendant, Your Honor, ready.
And Mr. Castañon is appearing from the jail annex. We're scheduled for a probation status hearing as well. Am I right on that? Just the probation status? Where
Yeah.
were we awaiting a new ag assault, Ms. Rago?
Yes, Your Honor. So I emailed intake on Monday asking what the status was, and unfortunately, I haven't gotten a response yet.
So then probably the only option I have, Judge, is just to request an examining trial. The only thing is
Yes.
probably get indicted.
Yeah, because that's what's holding us up here. I think did we already take care of the, oh no, we have a bond hearing set on the 9th.
That's correct, Judge.
Okay, so we have another setting. Do what you need to do, Mr. Castañon. Your attorney has already filed and we've scheduled a bond hearing for the 9th of August, but we're waiting on the new case. So Monday.
Your Honor, I think there might also be some additional charges. That's what Ms. King mentioned the last time. I do not know exactly what they were. I'm hoping we can deal with all of them at the same time.
Do you see anything else, Ms. Rago?
I think it's possession of fraudulent documents or something like that. I'm not too sure. Or a new possession.
Okay.
I see the ag assault with a deadly weapon. There was an AFV that was in 2021 that was declined.
Okay.
Let's see. There's
If I may.
anything else.
There's something on April 2nd, 2022. He was booked on a fraudulent use or possession of an identifying code
Yes, that's correct, Judge.
and the possession and a state law possession on the same date. So it's under the booking on April 2nd.
So then I'll file examining trials for all of them, Judge. And that's
Okay.
probably anything could be done.
Sounds
to get
good.
them all in. Okay, Judge, I will
All
do
right.
so. Thank you, Judge.
We'll see you at the next setting. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Judge. Bye.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Castañon. Who's next?
May I excuse Your Honor?
Yes, sir. Take care.
Thank you.
On
Thank you.
page 5, Judge. Annex, may we have Manuel Martinez?
Carla, are you covering this one?
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
Your Honor?
Manuel Martinez, please.
Yes.
Go ahead.
In cause number 2020-0D05269 and 2020-0D05268, State of Texas versus Manuel Martinez. Announcement of council, please.
Robert King for the state of Texas.
Greg Anderson on behalf of Mr. Martinez, ready to proceed, Your Honor.
And Mr. Martinez is appearing from the jail annex. Again, we're scheduled for a pre-revocation hearing in each of these cases. Oh, yeah. So I did read the case summary from probation. The recommendation is to leave the MTAG open and check on him in 60 days. I'm not really there, Mr. Anderson. I'm not. Have we discussed anything, Ms. King, on Mr. Martinez?
No, Your Honor.
Yeah,
Judge, I think he's been in for about 60 days now, although my math may be wrong.
Mhm.
And I think the reason for the violation notice was that he didn't report twice.
mhm.
Anyway, what are your thoughts on it, Judge?
I'm kind of wondering, we have a long history of same types of offenses, and then he gets this nice probation deal, and we're not reporting. Let me go back to the report. Let me go back to the report so I don't misspeak. I mean, he's on till 26, but then right away, failures to report January, April, May. I mean, I just don't get the sense that he's really too concerned about probation, you know? Can you tell me something different?
Judge, when I talked to him, he was adamant that he wanted to attempt to comply. Obviously, he has failed in what you have required him to do. But he did very much discuss the fact that he has a wife and 3 kids, and it's important to him to be able to support them. I kind of read him the riot act about the fact that he's not going to be able to support him if he doesn't comply with the conditions of probation as you've set out. But he did, and I did just discuss with him the idea of maybe we get it revoked and get that behind him. But he's really asking that he be provided another chance, Judge. And so I guess my argument would be, if you're inclined to leave him in for a little while longer and hope that he learns his lesson, that's what I'm urging, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. King, input?
Your Honor, the state is kind of at the point where I think I don't think he will be successful on probation. Like the court mentioned, it's kind of the same offenses. And it's, when I pulled up the updated rap sheet, it's always been kind of the same offenses. So at this point, the state is at a time wreck.
Am I wrong about the fact that he does not have a new offense, that this is just a failure to report type of deal? So, I mean, again, if this were a new offense, I would buy that argument. But if it's a failure to report, I'm not sure why.
You know, it's a failure to report. He's also not testing. He failed to report for UAs. Financial are less compelling. Although there is some restitution, there's like $240 of restitution. Is he working? Are you working, Mr. Martinez?
I really started working on putting tiles. Because I was working on landscaping, but I lost my job, and that's why I was not paying. I report calling my probation officer, but I didn't have the money to pay.
All right. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Pineda? Do you have anything else for me?
Your Honor, that was the basis of submitting the violation notice, was for the failure to report, failure to provide drug testing, and
is it weekly testing, or how often is he supposed to be testing?
I don't believe, let me double check. I don't think it was weekly, Judge, but it's been when he's been instructed to go, he doesn't go. So it was ongoing from November 2021 and December, and then February.
So why aren't you testing, Mr. Martinez?
Oh, my probation just told me to go one time, and I went, but I had COVID. They told me to tell my probation that it.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and release Mr. Martinez to the streets, leave the motion pending, and we're going to come back in 90 days. Ms. Pineda, if he fails to report for a drug test, if he fails to report to probation, then we will go forward on the motion to adjudicate.
Yes, Your Honor.
May I speak to Mr. Martinez for a moment, Your Honor? While,
Sure.
Mr. Martinez, do you understand that the judge is attempting to assist you and she's going to give you this one final chance? Do you understand that if you don't go to your drug testing as required and you do not report to your probation officer as required by the judge, there's going to be heck to pay? Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Or would you prefer to get a time recommendation to the penitentiary at this point, or do you believe that you can attempt to comply with the judge's probation?
Yes, I will go to everything.
Would you please call me as soon as you are released from jail so we can meet and discuss this in person?
Okay.
I believe you'll also have to contact probation, Carla. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. So if you'll instruct the CSO, you know,
Yes,
I
Your
know.
Honor.
They're and be
May I,
tested.
May I let him know who to contact?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mr. Martinez, you need to contact Ms. Annette Torres. You know her contact number, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's who you need to report and call immediately upon release.
Okay.
If she doesn't answer, you need to keep calling until you actually get a hold of her, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And just let her know to let me know if he fails to do that, okay?
Yes,
We're
Your
not
Honor.
gonna waste time. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Who's next?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Take care.
Middle of page 6, Judge. Annex, may we have Ontiveros, Raúl Ontiveros?
Carla, are you handling this one? I think I remember Mr. Ontiveros. I think I also saw Mr. Rodriguez was here. Is he still here or no? No?
No, Judge, he left. He
Okay.
said that he was never retained.
Yeah, no, he was, I think, informally handling his case. Go ahead.
In cause number 2019.
Hold on. Does he need an interpreter?
No, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Romano.
In cause number 2019 0D02176, State of Texas versus Raúl Ontiveros. Announcement of council, please.
Barbara King for the state of Texas.
And Kristen Romero for Mr. Ontiveros.
And Mr. Ontiveros is appearing from the jail annex. I recall Mr. Ontiveros' history. Let me see. The recommendation from probation said he be screened for the 384th drug court. Carla, tell me about that. I thought I was at revoke, just revoke him to time.
Your Honor, so if I may, just a little background. Mr. Ontiveros has completed, he went through CCR2, DWI
Yes.
drug court.
Mhm.
He was then released. Well, I'm gonna kind of go back. While in drug court, he was screened and he was to be going to BHRTC, to be placed in BHRTC. However, when this happened, there was a long wait. So Judge Anchondo pulled him out from the BHRTC waiting. He didn't go to BHRTC. He ended up just completing DWI drug court, then going to substance abuse caseload. And after substance abuse caseload, he reports to regular probation and he continues with alcohol and there was drug use as well, Judge.
Mhm.
I know at this point, probation is recommending to try to work with him with a different drug court.
Mhm.
But that's where we're at, Judge. It's just ongoing.
Yeah, I'm definitely not at the 384th drug court or any I guess, residential treatment option. Ms. Romero, have you had a chance to speak with your client? I mean, what are we really talking about? Is he, I'm not sure I'm inclined to go treatment route anymore. So let me start here. Ms. King, refresh my memory. Is this a true third?
Yes, Your Honor, and I have conveyed an email to Ms. Romero with the recommendation.
Is it 2 TDC?
It is 2 TDC and then it is 6 months on the state jail.
Okay. All right. That sounds pretty good. And so, Ms. Romero, unless he's telling you something really good about going treatment route again, that time rec to me seems as good as it's going to get. But if there's a compelling argument to be made for some type of treatment, he had a lot of issues. He had a lot of issues with substance use and drinking and driving that were kind of ongoing. Even going through DWI court still had the problem. So that's why I'm not real psyched about any more treatment. So I'm happy to come back in a week or two, whatever your preference is, to be able to kind of go over options with him. And then you all let me know.
Yes, Judge. So I have spoken to him, but based on the conversation today, I will go back to the annex and talk to him and see what
Okay.
he wants to do.
We'll come back in 2 weeks. If you know, no, we'll just come back in 2 weeks. All right, Mr. Ontiveros, your attorney will be in touch with you. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Maybe,
right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Back on page 5, top of page 5, Judge.
Mhm.
Because number 2022 0D00012, State of Texas versus Crystal Linguien. Announcement of council.
Well, it came from the state of Texas.
Todd Dunham, representing Miss Crystal Guillen. I'm ready, Your Honor.
And we were scheduled today for a plea hearing. I did receive, I think, right around the lunch hours, the plea paperwork, and had some record discussions with the attorneys regarding this plea. And so I don't know that there's been sufficient time to go over those concerns. Mr. Dunham, with your client, how would you like to proceed?
Your Honor, I would like to speak with my client in a breakout room. I also would like to just, I know you had asked earlier about the complainant, the mother.
Sure.
She was released from the psychiatric hospital last weekend.
Okay.
However, her son has had to take her in because she's still hallucinating and, according in the aunt's words, not in the same world as us.
Okay.
So I do have the brother's phone number. I'll forward that to Miss King. So if she wants to speak with him or the mother specifically, she can do that.
Perfect.
Your Honor,
Uh-huh.
I apologize. Just for the record, victim advocate and we did try to reach out to the sister, the complaining witness, on the theft of property count, and we were unsuccessful. We did leave a voicemail as well.
Okay, so that's actually, some legwork. I'm going to reset the plea for 1 week if that's enough time, maybe 2, but 1 week I think is good enough for me and help you maybe cross T's and dots I's. Mr. Dunham, in terms of your request for the breakout room, just because we were a little late coming on today, do you mind just sticking around and we can accommodate you at the end?
Okay, that's fine.
The docket should be pretty quick.
Yes, ma'am.
So let me see, Ms. Guillen, we're going to bring you back in a minute, just so we can take care of some other cases because your attorney wants to speak with you privately, so I need to move people out.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. All right, thank you, Mr. Dunham. Who's next?
Yes, ma'am.
Back on page 6, Judge. Annex, may we have Jesus Morales.
Oh, no, 2 Morales is in 1 plea? Okay.
Don't worry,
Mr.
Judge.
Jesus. Huh?
I'll pay close attention, Judge.
Okay. Jesus Morales, is that you?
That's him, Judge.
Mr. Morales, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get started.
In cause number 2021 0D00769, State of Texas versus Jesus Manuel Morales. Announcement of council, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas.
And good afternoon, Your Honor. Leonard Morales on behalf of Jesus Morales. We're ready to proceed, Judge.
And you recognize your client from the jail annex?
I do, Judge.
Yes. Okay. Sir, I'm going to be asking you some questions regarding your plea today. So I need to swear you in. Would you raise your right hand, please? Sir, do you swear or affirm that any testimony you provide will be the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You can put your hand down. I may need you to speak up just a little bit louder because I've heard a little bit of background noise during our hearings today. Sir, would you state your name and date of birth for the record?
Jesus Manuel Morales.
Mr. Morales. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off.
7/4/1985.
Okay, again, I do need you to speak up a little bit louder, okay? The court reporter is taking down everything that we're saying. All right, Mr. Morales, as I mentioned, you're scheduled for a plea today. There are documents that you may have reviewed with your attorney, the first of which is marked as State's Exhibit number 1. Those are the plea papers in this case. Within that document, you're guaranteed certain rights, including the right to remain silent, the right to trial by jury, the right to counsel, the right to confront and cross-examine witnesses, and the right to call witnesses on your behalf and in your defense. Mr. Morales, do you recall reviewing that document with your attorney and signing that document?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand everything contained within that document?
Yes, ma'am.
Attorney Morales, have you had more than 10 days to prepare a defense in this case?
We have, Your Honor.
And did you explain the plea papers to your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has understood the admonishments, rights, and consequences of giving up these rights by entering his plea today?
I believe he understood all of those admonishments, Judge.
Sir, are you satisfied with your attorney's representation of you?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Leonard Morales, do you have any reason to believe your client is not presently competent to enter a plea?
Your Honor, I have no reason to doubt Mr. Morales' competency to enter his plea here this afternoon.
Thank you. Mr. Morales, have you ever been found incompetent by any court?
No, ma'am.
Ever been examined by a doctor or psychiatrist who has found you mentally ill?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any conditions that are diagnosed or any other mental health condition that is preventing you from understanding what we're doing today?
No, ma'am.
Have you been able to effectively communicate with your attorney throughout the whole case,
Yes, ma'am.
including your regarding your plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You don't have any questions about your plea?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So based on your testimony, your attorney's representations, and my observations of you, I'm going to find that you are competent to enter your plea today, sir. What is your citizenship?
Here, El Paso.
You're a U.S. citizen,
Yes, ma'am.
and you were born in El Paso, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the charge against you in this case is possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 in an amount less than 1 gram. To that charge, sir, what is your plea? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, ma'am.
Are you making your plea freely and voluntarily?
Yes, ma'am.
I will find you are making your plea freely and voluntarily. Ms. King, would you summarize the evidence, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Were the state to proceed to trial on the indictment, the state would have proven each and every element of offense charged, possession of controlled substance in penalty group 1 in an amount less than 1 gram beyond a reasonable doubt. Your Honor, the defendant is pleading to a 1244A of 180 days confinement in the El Paso County Detention Facility. And at this time, the state moves to admit Exhibit 1 as the state's plea paperwork, Exhibit 2, Article 3914, disclosure, and Exhibit 3 as the indictment.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
Without objection, states 1, 2, and 3 are admitted. And Mr. Attorney Morales, what is that your understanding of the plea agreement?
It is, Your Honor, and I would like the court to take judicial notice that it appears that the jail has my client at 128 days credit as of today.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Nieto, are you there? Do you have, let me see, is that what your records reflect in terms of the time credit? I was trying to pull up the jailing. I think he's-
I have it at 132.
that's what I see,
Even
132.
better, Judge.
Mhm.
I'm looking up the jail calculator to see right now if that's sufficient for the plea. Just a moment.
Okay, so he had no prior jailing. It's just that one.
According to the jail calculator, he would be time served.
Okay.
Good, Judge.
Okay, so the court will take judicial notice of the amount of time, the 132 days. Mr. Morales, is that your understanding of the plea agreement as well, the 180 days in the county?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Understand that the plea agreement is not binding on the court. However, if I were to reject it, I would allow you to withdraw your plea. If I follow the plea agreement, you may not appeal this case except on matters raised by written motion and ruled on before trial or by permission of the court. The next document I'm going to ask you about is the one-page document entitled the Trial Court Certification of Your Right to Appeal. It is a document that explains your appeal rights. Because this is a plea bargained or negotiated case, you do not have an automatic right of appeal. Mr. Morales, do you recall reviewing that document with your attorney and signing it? Mr. Jesus Morales, do you recall reviewing that document and signing it?
Yes, ma'am.
It was signed by your attorney and signed by the court as well. So on your plea of guilty and the evidence introduced, I will accept your plea and at this time find the evidence substantiates your guilt. I will find you guilty of the offense of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 in an amount less than 1 gram. And I will sentence you according to the plea agreement and in accordance with 1244A of the Texas Penal Code to 180 days confinement in the El Paso County Detention Facility. You will receive credit for any and all time that you have served. Is there anything further, defense or Ms. King?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Not from defense, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you, Mr. Morales. Thank you, Lenny. Do you
Thanks,
have
Judge.
anything else?
No, Your Honor. I think that's all
Okay.
I have with you this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. You're done. All right, who's next?
Staying on page 6, Judge. Annex, may we have Joe Anthony Torres?
Yes, sir.
All right, there's Mr. Torres. I think they moved the camera on. Let's go.
In cause number 2020-0D06532, State of Texas versus Joe Anthony Torres. Announcement of council, please.
Robert King for the state of Texas.
Jake Spencer on behalf of Mr. Torres.
Okay, and Mr. Torres is appearing from the jail annex. We're set for a pre-revo hearing today. Let me go back to the case summary. Again, this is a case I think was very involved. I remember Mr. Torres. Okay. So the recommendation from probation is to be screened for DWI court. If I hadn't voiced that already, I thought I was not at DWI court for Mr. Torres. Let me hear it, Ms. King. Do you have any input?
Your Honor, I did request a violation notice from the PO and I am actually waiting for that.
So there's no, we don't have a motion yet?
We do not know.
Oh yeah, there it is. Violation on 215 violation notice submitted to the ADA's office. Motion to revoke not filed as of this writing. Okay. Well, Mr. Spencer, what is your
Yes, Your
client?
Honor.
What does your client want to do?
Your Honor, he is willing to do anything and everything that the court requires him to do. He's certainly a person that needs treatment and not any more punishment. You certainly got Mr. Torres' attention and he has learned his lesson being in jail today, 61 days.
So I'm not averse to the whole treatment idea. I'm just not real psyched about DWI court on Mr. Torres's case. Honestly, I'm more closer to BHRTC on him.
Judge, respectfully, he does not have a drug problem. He has never been convicted of.
He tested positive for cocaine back in December.
That was that one drug test, Judge, but he has never been convicted of any drug charge. The treatment that he needs, respectfully, is drinking, is alcohol.
No, but I'm not real confident that Mr. Torres is suited for something so, how can I say? I think he needs something residential. When he has been kind of left to his own devices some way or another, whether it's friends putting alcohol in his iced tea, you know, maybe they put the cocaine up his nose too. It's not going to be out. He's going to be in a residential treatment center. If not, I'm really was at time. My first notation on Mr. Torres's case was time. So
Judge, just respectfully, Judge, if I may, just to get it on the record, his history, if you look at his history, he's always completed probation successfully. He's never absconded or ran from the court. He's always reported. He's never missed a UA. He's never missed a group counseling or individual counseling. He's always kept and paid for the monitor device. He's never tampered with it or absconded from the court. He didn't pick up a new charge. He does not need more punishment. And I believe BHRTC is not appropriate treatment for him. DWI alcohol treatment is something that he is expressed to me, he is more than willing to do.
I'm going to pull up this case summary because Mr. Torres, I'm trying to think why we were always having to track him down, whether he was working somewhere, we were having issues on the monitor. Compliance along with liberty for him are a very bad mix. Let me see. Let me pull up the report. So he gets 4 years. He's doing the piano player stuff. On December 7th, submitted positive for cocaine, denied use. Travel permit denied due to the positive.
If you recall, Judge, if I may, after that positive test, he submitted 5 negative drug tests to the court in the months after that, the weeks after that.
You know, what I don't see on here, and, you know, with reason, is kind of, let me see, when did he plea? Yeah, November was leading up to the plea, the issues that we had. Let me see, let me search my email. We're gonna start looking for things. I'm gonna look. So we dismissed, is there a dismissed A of B? Please return to review cause number. No. I think that was wrong. Did he have an A of B? I keep showing an order keeps popping up in my emails on an A of B. Did he have that? It got dismissed. Is that what it is?
Your Honor, he did have an AFB back in, well, disposition 2017, and he was placed on probation.
Your Honor, there was an assault family household member 2020 case that was dismissed pursuant to the plea agreement.
Okay, and so the PR violations back then were he starts blowing positives back in May 2021. So I'm reading this was related to the AFV that he had PR bond. Readings continued 027. Another day, so 5/7, 5/17, 5/26, June 2nd, June 5th, June 6th. Yeah, it was a lot of non-compliance. And the excuse back then is that they brought him water with vodka instead of just water. I mean, I want to know, for all the drinkers out there, I want to know where to go, where everybody just gives you these non-alcoholic drinks with alcohol.
Same judge, same Z's.
Since,
Mr. Avelar, quiet.
well, since then, Judge, he was in jail, right, in New Mexico up until
Right.
and then he
And he
came
was
back
in
out.
jail in New Mexico for what?
Aggravated.
That was
DWI.
Yeah, DWI. No. Mr. Spencer, he's lucky I'm considering treatment. To me, he is too much of a danger. Okay. He's picking up DWIs in New Mexico. When I have him here on a DWI 3rd, he's testing positive for cocaine. He has terrible compliance on the monitor. And I just don't, I'm only going to go to BHRTC. If you want to go to a contested revo, whatever you want to do, I'm the best I'm going to do for him that is not just straight up confinement is BHRTC.
I understand the judge's ruling, Judge. I just feel after speaking with him over the months and close to years, I feel that is inappropriate for him.
Well, I'm sure he's very compelling because he's in custody and he wants to get out. And
he's a good person, Judge.
I'm not saying he's a bad person. What I'm saying is because this is a DWI 3rd and I've never had a time where I could say, Mr. Torres, you've been doing well. You're always testing positive. You're testing positive on the monitor. And honestly, I don't have any more patience for that. You're going to kill somebody if you're out. So if you want treatment, I'll send you to BHRTC. We have a contested revo set for August 11th. I have it as an in-person hearing. So we'll see you then.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Torres. Who's next?
Top of page 6, Judge. Annex, may we have Melendez, Alan Melendez?
Yes, sir, he's coming on.
So, Mr. Melendez?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's go.
Because number 2018-0D02591, State of Texas versus Adan Angel Melendez. Announcement of council, please.
Well, King for the state of Texas.
And Daniel Avalar for Adan Melendez. Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon. All right, pre-revo. Let me go back to his report. Oh, man, I clicked out of there. All right, Mr. Melendez, let me see. So we're on 2 deferred. Probated back in 2018. What happened? Let's see. Failed to report August, September 2020. Bolivian, he was an absconder. He was an absconder and then he continued not to report. Okay, so he's one of these only revoked or MTR dismissed? I think it's on. Oh, yeah, he's on 2 deferred. Do we have any new cases?
No, Your Honor, he doesn't have anything from out of state either.
Did he do anything, Carla? No, my gosh, February 2019 to June 2020, and then August 2020 to September 2020. So how much
Your
time
Honor.
does he want to do?
Well, it's a state jail offense.
So let's do 180. What's his history like?
Your Honor, I believe this is the only charge I see.
Mm,
He's been in custody since late June, maybe. Why don't we just let him finish?
isn't he done? When does he term?
It expired November 2020, Judge.
2020, yeah, because he's done. So you blew deferred. So you want to do 180 days? I'm at 180 days.
I think we're in a corner, right?
Yeah. Because he didn't do anything. He just kind of blew it off.
Well, I think the issue here is just the absconding, because I do think he did.
You think there's the absconding for 1.5 years out of 2 years? You think?
There's my fancy
that's the
lawyering,
issue?
Your Honor.
You think that's the issue? He didn't pay anything? I mean, I can't even hang on anything here.
Right.
Court costs, his fees, anything. There's nothing. He didn't do anything. I mean, he reported 2 times, 3 times, Carla.
Yes,
You just blew it. You just blew it, Mr. Melendez. Yeah, I'm at 180 days. We can come back in 2 weeks on a pre-revo.
Yes,
There's really nothing else to do, okay? All righty. Thank you
Mr.
very much.
Melendez, we're gonna be in touch, okay?
Who's next?
Back on page 4, Judge. Annex, may we have Gallegos?
Thanks, Mr. Judge. Can I be excused?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Avalon. Is it public defender? Who is on German
Stevens.
Giovanni Gallegos?
Brent Stevens, Judge.
Go ahead and call it, please.
In cause number 2022-0D02366, State of Texas versus German Gallegos. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rauch on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Brent Stevens for Mr. Gallegos. We're ready, Your Honor.
And Mr. Gallegos is appearing from the jail annex. We're scheduled for a bond hearing. Mr. Stevens, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Your Honor, my client's being held on a just on this indictment. It's a $250,000 cash surety bond.
Mhm.
If my client's 22, he's born in El Paso, and his mother lives in Anthony, New Mexico. If he's able to make his bond, he'll be able to live with his mother. I also spoke to his common law wife. She lives in Amarillo. She works with a company called St. Francis Services, and they work with CPS. So she basically delivers children to foster homes whenever there are issues. So she's employed there. My client is a framer, builds houses. He has work available for him if he's released in Amarillo, according to his common law wife, maybe in El Paso also. So he has both places available to live. My client graduated from Gadsden High School, and they have 1 2-year-old boy together. As far as I know, this is a first offense. There was I know about a dismissed juvenile auto burglary from New Mexico. But other than that, I believe this is a first offense allegation. And going through the case, the complaining witness, it sounded, I'll be a little bit surprised if the state ever has cooperation from this complaining witness. It didn't seem like he was even willing to give his information to the police. But as far as my client's involvement, he was not involved with the guns or any of that. Affidavit indicates the probable cause was that he was, quote, found in the getaway car. So there are subsequent statements by my client that are likely inadmissible. Would probably need to have a hearing about that. So I think the state has some real issues with this case, not the least of which is my client's actual involvement. So we're asking, Your Honor, for a substantial reduction. He may be able to come up with as much as $5,000. So if you could reduce it, to maybe like $40,000 split, that would be something that is feasible. His current trial is not set until April, so it's a very long time before we'll be going to trial on the current schedule.
Mhm. Okay. Is that everything?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and reviewing the PSR, I also show, I'm not sure if this is what you were referring to, Mr. Stevens, but I show some contempt of court in New Mexico in 2020, and then 2021, and then a DWI first offense on December 6, 2021. That's just the New Mexico history. And I guess for Texas, that's all I'm seeing is our current charges. All right, Ms. Rago.
Your Honor, the state respectfully opposes a PR bond or a reduction to a bond. There was 4 individuals that were involved with this robbery. Unfortunately, we haven't had contact with the victim. We have attempted. Unfortunately, we haven't had contact yet. I'm concerned about the victim's safety, and then also for the flight risk if he is going to be moving back and forth from Amarillo in Texas, in El Paso, Texas.
Okay. Yeah, I would have concerns too about people breaking into hotel rooms with AR-15s. So I'm sorry, but that request is denied. The bond will remain the same.
Judge, could I request a speedy trial? I do not know when we could be on the docket, but I would like to move it up on the docket.
Okay, so if you would indulge the court and file something that I can have documented for my purposes, I will definitely look at. I think what happened here, because I was cross-checking the co-defendants, everybody said on that April, it's our regular trial setting. Please file a motion on it. In the meantime, I will try and secure a good date. I think for 2022, I think I have more availability than I thought I did. So it should be pretty workable to try and get you a trial date. I just need to look at the calendars. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gallegos.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Who's next?
Staying on page 4, Judge. Annex, may we have Glidewell, Joseph Glidewell? Glidewell.
Mr. Glidewell, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. We're about to get started. Go ahead, Mr. Manafort.
In cause number 2022 0D00153, State of Texas versus Joseph Vernon Glidewell. Announcement of council, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas.
And Myrna Pages for Mr. Joseph Glidewell. Ready, Your Honor.
And Mr. Glidewell is appearing from the jail annex. We are scheduled for a plea today. Mr. Glidewell, I'm going to be asking you questions regarding your plea today, so I need to swear you in. If you would raise your right hand, please. Sir, do you swear or affirm that any testimony you provide will be the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. You can put your hand down. Do you please state your name and date of birth for the record?
Joseph Blackwell, 4881.
I'm sorry, 4881?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I understand it says July, but that's a clerical error. My birthday's in April.
Okay.
I've been trying to get that fixed for 10 years. And they put me under 2 different profiles and they refused to change it.
Okay. So we're scheduled for a plea, sir. I'm going to ask you questions regarding that plea and documents you should have reviewed with your attorney. The first of which is marked as State's Exhibit number 1. Those are the plea papers in this case. Within that document, you're guaranteed certain rights, including the right to remain silent, the right to trial by jury, the right to counsel, the right to confront and cross-examine witnesses, and the right to call witnesses on your behalf and in your defense. Mr. Glidewell, do you recall reviewing State's Exhibit number 1 with your attorney and signing that document?
I believe so, yes.
It is a multiple page document. Each page, I think every page requires your signature. Do you recall signing that document?
I believe yes, I believe it is.
Did your attorney explain that document to you?
Yes, she went over it with me.
And did you understand everything contained within that document?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Pages, have you had more than 10 days to prepare a defense in this case?
Yes, Judge.
And you recall explaining the plea papers to your client?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has understood the admonishments, rights, and consequences of giving up these rights by entering his plea today?
I do.
Mr. Glidewell, are you satisfied with your attorney's representation of you?
Yes, she's done very well.
And Ms. Pages, any reason to believe your client is not presently competent to enter his plea?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Glidewell, have you ever been found incompetent by any court?
No, ma'am.
Ever been examined by a doctor or psychiatrist who has found you mentally ill?
I was examined and I was found competent.
Okay. Are there any conditions, mental health conditions, or anything else that's preventing you from understanding what we're doing today?
No, ma'am. I was a gifted student in grade school, so
okay. That's good. You've been able to effectively communicate with your attorney through the entirety of your case, including today's plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So based on your testimony, your attorney's representations, and my observations of you, I'm going to find that you are competent to enter your plea today. Sir, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you born?
Globe, Arizona.
Okay. So the charge against you in this case is possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 in an amount less than 1 gram. Sir, to that charge, what is your plea? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Are you making your plea freely and voluntarily?
Yes, ma'am.
I will find you are making your plea freely and voluntarily. Ms. King, would you summarize the evidence, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Were the state to proceed to trial on the indictment, the state would have proven each and every element of the offense charge, possession of controlled substance in penalty group 1 in an amount less than 1 gram beyond a reasonable doubt. Your Honor, the defendant is pleading to 180 days in state jail facility. And at this time, the state moves to admit Exhibit 1 is the state's plea paperwork, Exhibit 2, Article 3914 disclosure, and Exhibit 3 is the indictment.
No objection, Your Honor.
Without objection, states Exhibits 1, 2, and 3 are admitted. Ms. Pages, is that your understanding of the plea agreement?
That is, Judge, and also credit for time served be given to him, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Glidewell, is that your understanding of the plea agreement as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, understand that the plea agreement is not binding on the court. However, if I were to reject it, I would allow you to withdraw your plea. If I follow the plea agreement, you may not appeal this case except on matters raised by written motion and ruled on before trial or by permission of the court. The next document I'm going to ask you about is the 1-page document entitled The Trial Court Certification of Your Right to Appeal. It is a document that explains your appeal rights. Because this is a plea bargained or negotiated case, you do not have an automatic right of appeal. Mr. Glidewell, do you recall reviewing the trial court certification with your attorney and signing that document?
If I did.
Signed by your attorney and signed by the court as well. So on your plea of guilty and the evidence introduced, I will accept your plea and at this time find the evidence substantiates your guilt. We'll find you guilty of the offense of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 in an amount less than 1 gram. And I will sentence you according to the plea agreement at 180 days confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice State Jail Facility. You will receive credit for any and all time that you have served. I can just tell you by looking at my docket, there's at least reflected here over 200 days credit. So I'm thinking he's served. Is that your understanding, Ms. Pages?
Yes, Judge, it is.
Okay. Alrighty. Is there anything further, Ms. King or Ms. Pages?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Glidewell. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so Villanueva, I think is our last one. Mr. Hernandez, are you there? And then we'll do the breakout room off of YouTube with Mr. Dunham and his client.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
Hi, Mr. Hernandez. Thank you for your patience.
Yes, sir.
I'll go ahead and call it. Hi, Mr. Villanueva.
Hello.
Calling cause numbers 2020-D06556 and 2020-D04363, State of Texas versus Rafael Villanueva. May I have announcements, please?
Roa King for the state of Texas.
Edward Hernandez on behalf of Rafael Villanueva, ready to proceed, Your Honor.
And Mr. Villanueva is appearing from the jail annex. We're scheduled in each of these cases for pleas today. Mr. Villanueva, I will be asking you questions regarding your pleas today. So I need to swear you in. If you would please raise your right hand. Sir, do you swear or affirm that any testimony you provide will be the truth and the whole truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You can put your hand down. Would you state your name and date of birth for the record, please?
Rafael Villanueva, November 24th, 1984.
Okay, Mr. Villanueva, in each of these cases, there were documents marked States Exhibit number 1. Those are the plea papers for each of these cases. Within those documents, you're guaranteed certain rights, including the right to remain silent, the right to trial by jury, the right to counsel, the right to confront and cross-examine witnesses, and the right to call witnesses on your behalf and in your defense. Mr. Villanueva, have you had sufficient opportunity to review that document, and did you sign it?
Yes, I did.
Did you understand?
Yes, yes, I did have time to review them, and I did sign them, and I do understand them.
Okay. Your attorney explained those documents to you as well?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Hernandez, have you had more than 10 days to prepare defenses in each of these cases?
I have, Your Honor.
And did you explain your the plea papers to your client?
I did, Your Honor.
You believe he has understood the admonishments, rights, and consequences of giving up these rights by entering his pleas today?
I do believe, Your Honor.
Mr. Villanueva, are you satisfied with your attorney's representation of you?
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez, have you ever been found, I'm sorry. Do you have any reason to believe your client is not presently competent to enter his plea?
Your Honor, while my client is part of the mental health unit here at the Public Defender's Office, or a participant, I have met with him numerous times and believe him to be competent and rational, and that he's understood everything I've talked to him about.
Mr. Villanueva, have you ever been found incompetent by any court?
I never have, no.
And although there may be some mental health diagnosis or maybe something undiagnosed, are you able to understand, and are you currently understanding everything that is going on today?
Yes, that is correct.
And have you, I'm sorry, I cut you off again.
Yeah, that is correct. I do understand.
Okay. Have you been able to effectively communicate with Mr. Hernandez throughout the entirety of these cases?
Yes, I have been able to.
Okay. Okay. Including regarding your pleas today?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So based on your testimony, your attorney's representations, and my observations of you, I'm finding that you are competent to enter your pleas. Mr. Villanueva, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, I'm a U.S. citizen.
Where were you born?
I was born here in El Paso. No, El Paso,
El Paso, Texas?
Yes.
Okay. So in cause number 2020-0D06556, you're charged with the offense of terroristic threat against a peace officer or a judge. To that charge, sir, what is your plea? Guilty or not guilty?
I plead guilty.
And in cause number 2020-0D04363, Although you were charged with a state jail felony criminal mischief, I understand through negotiations, you're pleading to a lesser included Class B misdemeanor criminal mischief. The value on that between $100 and $750. To the Class B misdemeanor, what is your plea, guilty or not guilty?
I'm pleading guilty.
Are you making each of your pleas freely and voluntarily?
Yes, I do make the pleas freely and voluntarily.
I will find you're making each of your pleas freely and voluntarily. Ms. King, would you summarize the evidence, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Were the state to proceed to trial on the indictment, the state would have proven each and every element and offense charged in cause number 2020-0D04363, criminal mischief in the amount between or less than 2,500 and less than 30,000. And in cause number 2020-0D06556, the charge of terroristic threat against a peace officer or judge beyond a reasonable doubt. Your Honor, the defendant is pleading to 20 months of state jail confinement in cause number 2020-0D06556 and 100 days of a reduced charge to a Class B of criminal mischief in the value of between $100 and less than $715. Cause number 2020-0Z. I apologize, I lost my 2020-0D04363. And at this time, the state moves to admit Exhibit 1 is the state's plea paperwork, Exhibit 2, Article 3914 disclosure, and Exhibit 3 is the indictment.
No objection, Your Honor.
Without objection, states 1, 2, and 3 are admitted in each of these cases. Mr. Hernandez, is that your understanding of the plea agreement?
That is my understanding, Your Honor.
And Mr. Villanueva, is that your understanding of the plea agreement as well?
Yes, yes, it is.
Understand that the plea agreement is not binding on the court. However, if I were to reject it, I would allow you to withdraw your pleas. If I follow the plea agreement, you may not appeal these cases except on matters raised by written motion and ruled on before trial or by permission of the court. The next document I'm going to ask you about is the one-page document entitled The Trial Court Certification of Your Right to Appeal. It is a document that explains your appeal rights. Because these are plea bargained or negotiated cases, you do not have an automatic right of appeal. Mr. Villanueva, do you recall reviewing the trial court certification with your attorney and signing that document?
Yes, I do.
Okay. They were signed by your attorney and signed by the court as well. So on your pleas of guilty and the evidence introduced, I will accept your pleas and at this time find the evidence substantiates your guilt. In cause number 2020-0D06556, I will find you guilty of the state jail felony offense of terroristic threat against a peace officer or judge, and sentence you according to the plea agreement at 20 months confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice State Jail Facility. In cause number 2020-0D04363, I will find you guilty of the Class B misdemeanor criminal mischief in an amount between $100 and $750 and sentence you to 100 days confinement in the El Paso County Detention Facility. Both of these cases will run concurrent with one another and you will receive credit for any and all time that you have served. Mr. Hernandez, for any excess time, I believe there was a notation on the plea paperwork that be credited toward any costs, and that is granted. Is there anything further, Ms. King or Mr. Hernandez?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Your Honor, on behalf of the defense, I'd requested a time credit count from the court clerk this morning, and she has provided 601 days. So I'd ask just that the court take judicial notice that my client has served 601 days on both cases as of today.
The court will take judicial notice of the 601 days. Anything else?
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you, Mr. Villanueva.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, sir. Good luck.